Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Luke from Foot Tech. Today we're going to talk about playing out from the back, playing through the thirds. It's become a massive obsession in grassroots football. It's filtered down from the very top, obviously with Mr. Guardiola coming across here, implementing his style. We've all taken things on board and we all feel that that is how football should be played, getting the ball out from goalkeeper to defence to midfield to attack. The question today that we're going to sort of leave you with is, should we be hammering this to kids all the time? Is this something that as coaches we should be insisting on? I'm going to talk to you about that in a little while, about some of the reasons why it might not be the best thing. But look, it looks good, right? It looks good when we see junior football teams that are bopping the ball about, they're playing through the thirds. Looks fantastic when it works. But there's perhaps some issues with it. Let's talk about some training sessions to start with. So an example training session that you'll often see in this situation is a pitch is split into three, and the players have to play from defence through to midfield through to attack. Sometimes there's not even goals either end. The play then just comes back and it's just about keeping the ball through the thirds. Oftentimes as well, you get some coaches that stick in the old three passes. I must have three passes in one third before it can go to the next, and so on and so on and so on. We'll probably talk about why that's not a good reason another time, but these are examples that we often see of coaches trying to implement this way of playing. And why we think it's bad's the wrong word, but why we think that it's not the best thing to hammer all the time is, what if playing out from the back is not the best decision at the time? What if playing out from the back actually isn't the best thing that child should have done on the ball, but you're going to congratulate them anyway because they've played it to their right back or into midfield or whatever? What if that wasn't the best decision in a game context? So we'll answer that in a second. The next thing is, it stops children scanning. And what I mean by that is that children that are playing in the defensive third are just going to have their vision on the middle third. Children in the middle third are just going to have their vision on the forward third, the end third. So when people talk about scanning, which we've discussed a lot on this channel, when people talk about scanning, we're checking shoulders and so forth, but realistically, what children should be scanning is the entire pitch as far forward as possible when they've got the ball. See as much as possible. If we're teaching kids and designing training sessions that are playing through the thirds, like the example that I just gave, then we're only going to get kids with essentially tunnel vision into that next third, and that's it. Whereas if they're getting the heads up and they can see the whole pitch, they're going to have more options and perhaps make better decisions because they're taking in more information. So hopefully that makes sense. There's an argument to say that it stops some sort of creativity as well, because if managers are insisting that children pass through the thirds, then what about if a dribble was a better option? What about if a player got the ball in a position where they felt they could dribble into the next third, or perhaps even have the confidence and ability to take on their opposing player to get into the next third? Are we going to stifle that by insisting that it were passing through the thirds all the time and playing out from the back? So these are questions to think about. But the thing that we want all coaches listening to this to consider is, what are we trying to do in football? Okay, we're trying to score more goals, excuse me, than the other team. We're trying to score more goals than the other team. That's the idea of football. So if passing to a player in the middle third is the best option, brilliant. But what if passing to the most advanced player on the pitch is the best option? Are we gonna tell that child not to do that because you're insisting on playing through the thirds and playing out from the back? What if your goalkeeper or your centre back has the ball and the best option is a pass into the forward player, into one of the forward players who is in space, and also the most advanced player on the pitch who is closest to goal? Is that going to give us more chance to score a goal? Yeah, it is, because when we're closer to the opposing team's goal. So if that's the best decision to make, but you're saying your players must play out from the back, must go through the thirds, what are we teaching kids there? Are we just going to pass for passing's sake? Is that what we're getting at now? Do we need to make 10 passes before we can go score a goal just because it looks better to you, to the people watching? That's not what football is. Football is scoring more goals than the other team. And yeah, we're still clearly talking about developing footballers here as well, and we'll get onto that. But developing footballers is about developing the best decision makers as well. Certainly with the way the game is going, we're not going to develop decision makers if all we're telling them is their decision must be a pass from goalkeeper to defensive midfield to attack, especially when they've got the ball and they can see their forward player open for a pass. Why not miss out that middle third perhaps, because that's the best option? But by us stifling that, we're not gonna increase their decision making skills. We're gonna lower them. Okay, so certainly something to think about there. No one is saying we go long. No one is saying you put the big fast forward up at the top and then your goalkeeper and defence just hammer long balls. That is not what we're saying, okay? Because that is why I think a lot of people have gone the other way with this when they've seen a nicer style of football, because they think it develops kids more and it's much better than just blasting it to the big kid up front all the time. I get it, but we're not saying that. What we're saying is if your defender has the ball and the forward player is the best option, maybe they're in space, maybe they've made a nice run, maybe one of the defenders has gone off somewhere and left him in acres of space. If that's the best decision, make that pass. At least try to make that pass first before we start thinking about, okay, that one's not on anymore. I need to now look at this, this and this. We're trying to play forwards, okay? The most exciting teams are trying to play forwards on the front foot all the time. But even us as coaches with children, we want to encourage that. We want to encourage them to play forwards. And we want to encourage them to play as far forwards as possible if that's the best decision to make. So let's have a look at a little example here. So let's say we've got a 7v7, okay? So blue team have got the ball here and the keeper plays it out to their defender there, okay? So brilliant. We're starting to play out from the back. But what a lot of coaches want now is, the ball must come into midfield. But what we're getting at here is, what if that forward player has dropped into space there and that's the best option? If that's the best option, it gets our team furthest up the pitch. Why are we insisting that this happen? Okay? Why? We want to get up here. This is where the danger is. So if your defender has got the ball and this is on here, why would we not want that to happen? Okay? What we're not saying is we must do this every single time. Absolutely not. What we're saying is if this is the best option, that's the option to take, because it gets us furthest up the field, it gets us closer to their goal, and means that we've got more chance of scoring one more goal than the other team, which is the idea of football, right? So this is what we're getting at. We just want coaches to think more about why are they doing things. It's all right to say, I've got a philosophy, got a style of play, of course, but your style of play still needs to be centered around scoring one more goal than the other team. And that doesn't mean that comes at the expense of development for the children. Absolutely not. What we're saying here is that you can still promote and develop an attractive, in inverted commas, style of play by, we want to play here and here, but we only want to do that when it's the right decision. So, if one of these players is free and that's the best option, fantastic. If that's the best option because they're marked and so on, fine, let's go into there. But as we're saying, if this here is the best option from the goalkeeper, perhaps that's the best decision to make. Let's get up the field. So we wanted to leave you with that and just give you some things to think about around this whole obsession around playing out from the back. It's not easy to design drills and design activities to promote these sorts of things. We're big believers in the games-based model because we feel that's as close to a game as can be, and so therefore you're going to develop these decision-making skills. But what we would say to do instead is, instead of designing activities where players must play through the thirds, think more about your coaching style perhaps, and the words and guidance you're giving to children. So encourage forward play, encourage them to get the head up and see the entire pitch, and encourage that. Encourage, okay, can I play forwards? Can I play furthest forwards? No, I can't. Okay, now can I play into the midfield? No, I can't. Okay, well, can I play across the defence? Okay, do I play back to goalkeeper? These are the sorts of things that you want to get kids to start thinking about, and then it's going to become split decision. It's, split decisions that they've got to make within half a second or something. But just by you encouraging it, that's really, really going to help. The minimum that we want is to keep the ball. Maybe that means that, okay, well, I have to go on a dribble or something like that, and that is absolutely fine. But if they're petrified to do that, or petrified to play that forward pass, that longer ball, then you're not going to do right by your players, and you're probably not going to win as many football matches either, which again, we're not saying that's what it's all about at the younger end, but certainly when they get older, that's what it becomes, and that's the game of football. There needs to be a consequence. And even thinking about the likes of Pep and so forth, you look at his goalkeeper, Edison. I believe he's got quite a few assists in the last few years, and that's because at times he's just gone forwards, because that was the best option. If your striker is in acres of space in a threatening position, surely you're going to bypass everybody else, because that's the best option, because it gets them close. So Pep's not going to start shouting at Edison for doing that. He's going to be congratulating him on getting an assist and making it easier for his team to win the game. Hopefully that all makes sense. As always, you can comment. Let us know if you need any help with these sorts of things. Remember to subscribe. We're going to get lots more videos out like this, hopefully just giving grassroots football coaches some advice and tips. But just something to think about there. Don't become obsessed with a certain style of play and playing out from the back. Be obsessed with creating decision makers. Be obsessed with helping your children, your players, understand it's about making the best decisions with the information they've got. And the information they've got will be expanded if they're able to get their head up and see the whole pitch, as opposed to be tunnel vision into the next third or the player closest to them. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll speak to you again soon.